Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of CPA Review and More. We are pleased to bring you the #1 podcast for CPAs and CPA candidates. If you'd like to learn more about how Yaeger CPA Review can help you, find us on our website at yaegercpareview.com. Now, here's your host, Phil Yaeger.
Hello, everyone. This is Phil Yaeger, and welcome to my podcast, CPA Review and More. All right, we don't have a lot to talk about with CPA Review. You can only talk about it so much. All right, but I do own a CPA Review school. I prepare people for the CPA exam. But most of my guests are more, because I like to bring people in with different areas, cryptocurrency, cybersecurity. We had a guest about that. And as I say, I scan the globe for the best guests. How's that? All right. And I scan the globe, and I'm a visionary. I tell you, I'm a visionary. I closed my eyes and I said, we have to talk about premium fees, how to get better fees if we have a practice. And I found, all right, and she was standing there in Southern California. By the way, she is in Southern California. I said, do you handle that area? She says, oh yeah, that's funny. So anyway, I have on my guest today, Loren Fogelman, all right? And Loren is what would you call yourself, Loren? A coach of some type? What would you call yourself?
A price and profit coach.
A price and profit coach. Okay. All right. That's interesting. All right. And Loren actually, when I was in practice, I charged per hour. What a mistake that was. And someone actually, somewhere down the road, years down the road, someone said, you should charge by your services. And I remember one day I was running short on time, and someone came with all their stuff to do a tax return. Okay. I did the return in front of them. It took me 10 minutes. All right. When I asked for my bill, my fee, she says, you only work 10 minutes. All right. Gee, if I got paid that much, I would be an accountant too. But, they seem to forget that after a while, if you do the work long enough, all right, you can do it more efficiently and faster, but not sloppy. And I just got faster. That's what it was. So, never really made a lot. And I knew I should be charging for my services, what they were worth. Maybe I didn't think I was worth that much. I don't know. But anyway, Loren, when you go around and you give your talks, okay, can I use that word? Give your talks. All right. What do you tell people? What is your area that you tell them about?
But basically, what I focus on is how accounting professionals can go ahead and earn more than an hourly rate. Also, how to enroll quality clients, because most of them don't like the free consultations, especially the money part where they're talking about getting paid for their services. And then the third part is how to lighten your workload so you're not a slave to your firm. So those are the three things that I talk a lot about: is how to increase your rates to make more money, how to enroll clients who actually appreciate, respect you, and do not treat you like an employee, and also how to lighten your workload so you can really sustain your firm and your profession without burning out or sacrificing time with your family.
When you're in practice as a CPA, an accountant, all right, people call you on the phone, all right, and they feel, hey, they're not in the office, they're just calling you, all right. What do you tell your clients? Do you tell them, hey, if someone calls you on the phone, bill for that, bill for everything? What do you tell them on that?
I believe that you have to teach your clients how to be good clients and how to work with you. Therefore, it's good to be able to set expectations of how to communicate with you. That way, if they text you at 8:00 on Friday night, you're not dropping your time with your family, running to fire up your computer and get back to them with an answer immediately. Customer service is not really about someone having 24/7 access to you and getting an immediate response.
What is customer service then?
Customer service is about having a relationship with your customer. However, you want to have a healthy relationship where they understand how to best communicate with you, how to work with you, what they can expect from you, as well as what you can expect from them. So it's actually a two-way street where there's some boundaries, and you don't need to be tied to your technology 24/7 if you don't want to be.
Now, what type of clients, you deal with accounting firms, obviously, right?
Those are all my clients, accounting professionals.
And what type of client are you looking for? The higher end client? You're gonna start with an entry level firm that just opened up. All right. Who do you deal with?
I would say the majority of my clients have already been in business for 3 years or more. They have under 8 people on their staff or payroll. And what they have experienced is what I call an upper limit challenge. Basically, what's happened is that they've continued to grow, but in order to continue to increase their income level and to be able to do all their work, they need to now start taking away from their personal time and other things that are not work related in order to be able to continue to keep everything operational. So basically they're on the verge of burnout where they're working too many hours and they can't increase their revenues because they have no more time to give.
The accounting market there's a shortage of accountants. All right. Now, if there's a shortage of accountants, all right, and the amount of clients has not decreased, how are you going to do the work then? Unless the owner does it.
Are you sure that the owner has to be the only person to do the work? Because I know if I went to one of the big 4, the CEO is not doing my work.
Well, that's the big 4, but let's take I'll take a name of a company. It used to be here in Maryland, and I used to get students for them for the CPA review course, Resnick and Company.
Mm-hmm.
And they started here in Bethesda, Maryland. All right. And now the Resnick Cohn. And by the way, I worked for J.H. Cohn, which was a firm in Newark, New Jersey. And they, back then there was no problem. There was plenty of people wanted to major in accounting. All right. But now we don't have as many people. And the big 4, they might have an easier time getting employees than, a more of a medium size. And that's because people want to work for them because the name looks good.
Sure.
Are you finding from your clients, you're not dealing just with big 4, are you? You're dealing
No, my clients are usually from solo up until about 8 employees in their firm. They are the smaller firms that I'm working primarily with. Those are my best clients. And a lot of them, they probably started out on their own. Maybe they had an assistant, but they are working too many hours and they're not making enough money, and it's creating burnout for them. They can't grow with the way that their business is currently structured.
Are they having trouble growing maybe also because do they mention that it's hard to get accounting graduates because there's not as many people majoring in accounting?
Hiring staff is one of the biggest challenges that I do see with accounting professionals. So yes, some of them want to grow, but they can't bring on someone that they see as a fit for their firm because of whatever. There's just not enough good people out there to hire from.
Do you work with them on how to interview employees, hire employees? You don't do that, do you, or do you?
I would say that the main focus that I do with my clients is being able to know how to price their services, how to enroll clients based on value as opposed to an hourly rate, and then how to be able to free up or lighten their workload. So that will also include, when appropriate, how to be able to place an ad somewhere, where to look for help. Do you want to look onshore? Do you want to look offshore? Do you want virtual? Do you need someone in your office? Are you hiring to just fill a slot and have a warm body? Or does that person have the right personality and skill set for that job? So yes, I do look at those things. However, I'm going to say that the pricing and packaging and sales are my sweet spot.
All right, well, here I am. I'm a potential client of yours, and I come to you and I say, Loren, I'm having problems here. I'm not making enough money because I charge on an hourly basis, whatever it might be. But then I only make the 8 hours a day, what I charge an hourly, and I'm not making money, but I'm working like a dog. You are mentioning something to me about I should charge for the value of my services. All right, how for someone who's afraid to ask their client for that type of fee? All right, how do you educate the client?
Okay, that is true for all my clients. Let's just start with that. And from my research, I want to say at least 57% of accounting professionals undercharge for their services. So they know that they have a pricing problem when they're first coming to me. And one more statistic I want to throw out there is about 86% of accounting professionals earn less than $100,000 a year. Depending on what part of the country you live in some parts like San Francisco and New York City, that's the poverty level. I just want to give that some relevance. What I look at is I actually have some steps that I take my clients through as we're moving away from an hourly rate over to value pricing. But first, I want to differentiate what is value pricing, because people think that fixed pricing and value pricing are the same thing, and they're not. When you look at an hourly rate as well as fixed pricing, those are usually based on time and cost, and maybe there's some profit margin built in. When you look at value pricing, then that is actually pricing the client and what is of value to the client, and it has nothing to do with your time and costs. So different clients might have different prices even for similar work. I just want to put that out there as an overview. Once we're starting to move someone away from their fixed or their hourly rate into charging more for their services based on the value, we follow what I call my raise your rates formula, which has 5 steps to it. The very first step is quality clients, because in the beginning, you are taking on a wide range of clients from low value to high value because you need the cash flow and you need evidence that what you have to do is actually appealing to some people. You just need clients, but you realize over time that some clients are better clients than others. So I want to understand who a quality client is. And I want to say sometimes your highest paying client is a low value client. I just have seen that with a lot of firms. So who are the quality clients? Because we want to know what appeals to them differs from what appeals to a low value client. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is being able to communicate your value, because you know that what you do for your clients makes a difference. If you're being able to lower their tax bill, if you're giving them financials so that they're making better business decisions, all those things do matter. However, you might not know how to say it so that they understand it. You might not have the right words to be able to express that. Therefore, I want to show you how to communicate your value. That's step number 2. And for you to recognize what the value is from a client's point of view, because what your client's value is going to be different than what you value. Step number 3 is packaging your services. That's where we start to bundle certain services together that achieve a specific outcome. And not all clients need the same outcome or want the same outcome. So we're packaging services together because that improves efficiency, and it also allows you to increase your profit margin on your services. Number 4 is value pricing. That is where we're starting to price the client and being able to separate your fees from time in order to increase your revenues without having to work any additional hours. And then number 5 is consultation mastery, because most accounting professionals hate the sales part. They don't want to push or pressure someone into working with them. The close feels painful. So I teach them how to have what I call a value conversation instead of a pitch or selling their services. Anyway, those are the 5 steps of the raise your rates formula, which is quality clients, communicate your value, package your services, value pricing, and consultation mastery.
The one thing that seems difficult to me is if you've been charging hourly rates, it's very hard to change to, charge the value of your services. First of all, what you just said is people don't like to talk about money, right? And also the close is also very hard to do for a lot of people. all right, because accountants are not normally good salespeople.
Mhm.
Right? All right. So how do you, do you ever, I assume you run into clients where no matter what you're going to say, they just, basically, they really just want to continue with the hourly rate because it's more comfortable for them.
Mhm.
All right. What do you do with someone? This might be a tough question to answer, but what do you do with someone who's afraid to ask for money, not sure what his services or her services are worth? All right. And how do you, you can't change the accountant's personality, but I'm not, how do I know what my services are worth?
Mhm.
For example,
I think the first thing to look at is that there's a certain type of personality that is attracted to the accounting professional. And the work that I do is geared towards that personality. We, as accountants, don't like change. We'll stick with the status quo until we can't stick with it any longer. We happen to be risk resistant. We don't like doing things where we don't know if the odds are in our favor or not. Very customer oriented, so we don't want to offend our clients. We're afraid of them leaving, so we think about raising our rates for many, many years before we ever do it, and our legacy clients are probably still at their original rates. Totally understand that. And because that, I handhold my clients through this in a step-by-step process where I'm doing the work with them and I'm talking them off the cliff, because I know that they're challenging their limits, and that this is not something that takes confidence, it takes courage, because of the fact that you can't tolerate what you've been doing any longer. You're stretched too thin, you're working with clients who don't appreciate you, and you're burning out. You're not enjoying the work any longer. So what I do is I actually will create their packages with them. I will price their services along with them. With some clients, we even go through the entire client list of where they're currently priced at and where they ought to be. I will help them with knowing what questions to ask when they're bringing in new clients at the new rates, but also how to be able to go back to your old clients, including the legacy clients, and get them up to your new rates also. And the reason that we need to do that is because otherwise you end up with two business models where new clients are in one type of rate and package, and then the old clients are still at an hourly rate, which doesn't work. So every single client needs to be able to bring their old clients up to the new packages also. I give them the letters, the templates, the script, everything that they need to be able to do this. I will handhold them through the process.
You still have accounting firms, they feel, everyone's always afraid, I'm charging too much. I'm not worth that, they didn't use those exact same words. But do you have any of your clients, before you got a hold of them and worked with them, that were offering discounts to the clients?
Oh my gosh, yes. I actually just did a whole webinar to my list on that yesterday of how to enroll premium clients without negotiating your services. So they absolutely will offer discounts because they don't understand negotiation. And they think, okay, let's just get back to when they're talking about their services and they talked about what it would be to work with them and the investment to work with them, and then there's silence. They're kind of squirming with that silence. It's uncomfortable. And they get nervous, they get anxious, they break the silence by immediately lowering their price without someone even asking for a discount. So they are discounting themselves before anybody is even asking about that. So I teach them how to be able to work through that process also. And just discounting a service is not negotiations. It's a discount. So you are sometimes your own worst enemy, and you might kill your own sale because you don't realize how the sales process works.
I was, I answer the phone occasionally with the CPA review school. It used to be more calls would come in before we had the internet. So now people go to the internet, and I don't like the internet. It's very impersonal. But, I just got a call probably about a half hour before we got together, and this woman calls up, and she's been out of school for 30 years. Should you go for the CPA? And, I'm talking with her, and then she hit me up with this, all right? How come you don't give any discounts? Now, we believe in this, okay? We believe in showing a fair, favorable rate what we charge for our course, where our competitors, what they do is they mark it up and then mark it down. So it looks like they're giving a discount, all right?
Mhm.
And I get this question all the time. I guess at this point in my life, I say, lady, if you can't see what they're doing, then maybe you shouldn't think. I don't say that, but I don't know.
You want to say that.
I would like to say a lot of things, actually. But I don't know, how to handle that. I really, I guess I'm not in the mood to, not in the mood to say, well, we charge a fair price, and I'm really sort of apologizing,
Mhm. Phil, first of all, fair is a subjective thing. What you think is fair, what I think is fair, what that other woman thinks is fair is going to be three different things. It's very, very subjective. So let's start with that. I believe that I can't decide what's a fair price for somebody else. They need to decide that for themselves. Now, when we're talking about the courses that your academy has, then that's a commodity. They are definitely going to be comparing you to other similar platforms that do something. And a lot of them will be price shopping. That's okay. But we're talking about accounting professionals and their firms. And that's a little bit of a different type of business model. So with that, when clients are coming to them, they're considering three specific things when making a decision to work with you or not. They are looking at the client experience. So what's the relationship like? Do you answer the phone? Are you available? When I ask you these questions, can I ask you them without feeling ashamed, embarrassed, or guilty because I don't really understand the financials? So they're looking at the client, or is it more transactional, where I'm more like going to one of those sweatshop factory tax services. I'm not going to name any names, and they don't really know me or anything like that. They're just pushing out as many as they could possibly
I
can.
say H&R Schlock. It's not that company.
Yeah. I was thinking more like the Statue of Liberty.
That's
Okay, so you have a relationship with your clients, you know them by name usually, you meet with them a couple of times a year possibly, as opposed to you being transactional. So people are looking at the relationship. The other thing that they're considering is your skill set. Do you have the skill set, the expertise, the knowledge, as well as the software and the tools to be able to deliver on what I'm hiring you to do? Those are two things that they're considering, and then price is third. So they will consider the relationship, the skill set, and the price, but price is number three. The only time that price is the top of the list is when we're talking about our price-sensitive clients who want to get as much as they possibly can for you for as little as possible. And those clients are not really great clients to work with.
You don't want them.
You want to just bless them and let them go. So you want to be able to do what's necessary to have a client see your value, and you want to emphasize the relationship as well as the fact that you can deliver on what they're hiring you to do in the time that you promised.
Now, I was looking at LinkedIn, and it says you speak about should you accept every client, and you're saying you should not select every client who's willing to pay your fees. It could be harmful. Is that what you said?
Yes, I just said that yesterday, actually.
Well, you see, I told you I'm a visionary.
Yeah. You know a lot of stuff.
I read tea leaves too, and whatever those cards are called.
Yes, low value clients are harmful to your health as well as your bank account. And you do have some low value clients who treat you with respect, but then when they're working with one of your staff members, they're treating that person very rudely. So they might treat you one way as a business owner, but they're treating your staff a very different way. And those are not good clients, because I believe if you have good staff, your staff is golden, and you want to keep them because it's harder to replace good staff, as we were talking about in the beginning, than it is to replace a bad client.
So accepting every client could be harmful, all right, is even if they're willing to pay your fees, and let's assume they're a high-end client, why wouldn't you, what you just said was this applies to lower income clients. Is that what you said to me? I mean,
Not necessarily. As I was saying in the beginning, sometimes your largest paying client is the biggest headache, or they don't respect you, or if they're really fast growth, what I've seen a lot of times is you start out working with one person, usually the business owner, but as they grow, they have someone that they hire to take on some of those things regarding their financials. And now you're working with a W-2, and that W-2 does not treat you the same way as the business owner originally did. And it becomes a very frustrating relationship. So I will say that they are harmful for you because low value clients will add to your frustration level. They'll raise your blood pressure. They take more time than other clients do. They want exceptions without having to pay for them. And their fees often do not reflect the amount of work or service that you're doing for them.
another statement here that you posted, okay, was, do you offer free consultations but really don't enjoy them? Now, I never, I have an attorney that I've used for years. I don't remember he ever saying, oh, come on in, we'll talk 15 minutes and I won't charge you, all right? There were no freebies back, even now. But I know accountants, they want to get the client, all right? They'll say, come over, we'll talk for about 15 minutes, all right? And then you get angry at yourself because you're giving away your time, all right? What do you think about that? Should you give any free consultation time?
Well, I think that there's a boundary problem here where, yes, there's a value to free consultations. Let's go with that. But first, you need to understand what free consultations are, and they are not a pick your brain session. It's to see if you're a good fit for working together or not. If you're a good fit, you talk about what it's like to move forward. If it's not a good fit, you bless them and let them move on. But the other part of the boundaries problem that I see is too many accounting professionals. I can go to their website and I have a link to their calendar. That means that anybody can get on my calendar and talk to me. And maybe it's someone who really isn't a good fit. So I think that instead of having a link on your website to be able to schedule a free calendar immediately, you ought to pre-qualify or screen someone to see if they are a good fit for you or not. If not, you don't need to give them a link to your calendar and speak to them. You're not obligated. If they are, then great. Go ahead and set some time to meet with each other. And then you want to have what's called a value conversation, where you're asking specific questions and you're leading the conversation so it doesn't turn into a pick your brain session.
But if I'm doing all these things you're saying, I'm not billing for anything. I'm just, someone calls and I want to find out if they're, I should give them the 30 minutes, okay? This sounds like a lot of non-billable work, is it?
Well, first of all, we're talking about people who want to have conversations with you about money. Money is a really sticky subject. People have stuff around money and they need to get a sense of who you are, to decide if there's some synergy, if they trust you, and if they feel that you can do the work that they're hiring you to do. So they need to have that test drive. But the thing is that by offering that free consultation, you get to test drive and see if they're a good fit for you, your firm also. If you're talking with them and you're getting this feeling in the pit of your stomach or the hairs on the back of your neck start to rise up, you don't want to bring them on as a client. I would rather have that 15-minute conversation with someone and screen them to see if they're a good fit for me and my firm than end up enrolling someone too quickly. And now I have someone that I absolutely cannot stand working with. They raise my blood pressure every time I get a communication with them. And because I don't like having difficult conversations, I am holding on to them and tolerating them, but they're not a good fit for me and they never were.
What did you major in college to get into what you're doing? I would say, did I see you were a sports psychologist? Sports
psychology turned business coach.
Okay, so what was your major at college?
It was in psychology.
Psychology. So there wasn't a sport, they didn't have a separate sports psychology, right?
Nope.
But, so did you practice any psychology?
Yeah, my husband and I owned a counseling agency where we had up to 11 employees, combination of W-2s, 1099s for 12 years before we sold that practice. That was the one where I burned out and I sacrificed. And I never, ever wanted to make those sacrifices again. And that's when I started looking for my next best move and moved in this direction.
Where were you living at the time you did the psychology?
Well, originally started out in Miami, Florida, and then we wanted a better life for our children. And we made the move over to Oregon. And that's when we bought an agency and had our practice.
Did you need an advanced degree to do psychology in Florida at the time?
I have a master's.
You have a master's?
However, I have never been licensed. And I'm okay saying that because just because I chose not to have that licensure behind my name does not make any difference as to how effective I am at what I'm doing. I've always been able to work under my husband's license when we had our agency, and it was good enough for me. I did not need a long list of alphabets behind my name.
You're a real entrepreneur. I mean, you're a good salesman. Would you say that? You think you're a good salesman?
It's something I learned to do, Phil. Just like accounting professionals, I'm actually more of an introvert than an extrovert.
No.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will just say networking, marketing, all that stuff is not in my comfort zone. However, I've had to learn how to do that in order to enroll the right clients into working with me and to have a business.
Do they ask you to get involved with their social marketing and all that stuff?
I let them know that I am not a marketing coach. If I can help them with communicating their value, that's actually the second step of the Raise Your Rates formula in order to appeal to the right client to them and to separate themselves or differentiate their services from everybody else. So I do help them understand what to focus on and put out there. However, I am not a marketing coach. I don't want them to do their social media. I don't want to really talk about their Facebook accounts or managing Instagram. That is not what I do. I want to show them how to grow their bank account by being able to price their services correctly and know how to lead someone through the sales process and working more efficiently so that they don't feel like a slave to their business.
If you were a sports psychology major, how did you get involved with accountants? You said, what did you know about accounting to go and how'd you get these people, convince them to hear what you're saying and go with it? I mean, did you get that question? I mean, what's your background?
Sometimes. I will say that I come from a family filled with accountants. My sister-in-law was a CPA and an attorney. My mom always had her taxes spread out all over the kitchen table during tax season. She did it herself. My brother's a CPA. My son-in-law is a CPA in Israel that does taxes for US expatriates that live in Israel. So I am surrounded by accounting professionals, and I have a very strong respect for them. And I've always enjoyed business ownership. My parents are entrepreneurs too. What I saw is I was looking for someone who was the right fit. I've always done some business coaching, even when I did sports psychology, because there's more similarities than differences between top performing athletes and growth-minded accounting professionals. It was just figuring out what my sweet spot was over time and gradually moving from one to the other.
I only became an accountant because my mother said if I didn't continue majoring in accounting, she wouldn't pay for the tuition. Okay. I did not want to be an accountant. All right. And there are times where I say, maybe I was right, but it turned out okay. I got the CPA and it gave me all different types of, options, what I could do during my lifetime, and so from that alone, I think it was helpful. But yeah, my mother, we lived in a town, it sounds very similar, where everyone was either CPAs, mostly a lot of CPAs actually. And my mother would see these people, boy, they had this practices and they made money. And, I want you to be like Mike Stein. I remember this. I remember the names. And he won't say anything because Mike is far gone. But no, my sister-in-law's father, it was a CPA. Her brother was a CPA. I think it's sort of like the Jackie Mason. Did you ever hear Jackie Mason say, by the way, I met Jackie Mason walking in Miami, all right? He was sitting at what's the mall?
Lincoln Mall, Lincoln Road Mall, Lincoln Road Mall.
Lincoln Road. There was an ice cream place and someone sitting there having coffee. And I said to my wife, I said, I think that's Jackie Mason. So, I walked over to him and I was very polite. I called him Mr. Mason, and he just sat down and, he was funny. He sat down and he says, what's your name? So I said, Philip Yaeger. He says, are you Jewish? So I said, yeah. He says, are you a doctor? He looked at us. I felt like I was getting his play. He says, are you a doctor? So I said, no. He says, well, if you're not a doctor, you must be an attorney. I said, no. And then I quoted him from his play. And I said, yeah, I was the one who wasn't too bright. I became an accountant. But that's what Jackie Mason always used to say. And it was really a privilege to meet him. He was a nice guy.
Mhm.
But, I found that I thought I didn't have the personality to be an accountant. Because actually, I wrote my doctoral dissertation on the negative image of the accountant. Because I think the one thing accountants, as you said, their personalities have a lot, they're like engineers, all right?
Mhm.
But, how can someone, if these accountants have, they don't really like to talk to people, so much. Am I wrong? Am I stereotyping there?
I think that they like talking to one person at a time. They don't like talking in groups for the most part. So I
Yeah.
found that accountants like people. They just don't like a big room of them.
That's,
Is that fair?
yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I've gone to continuing education classes and you have lunch, now I don't think they exist anymore, but you have lunch, all right? And I hate sitting there with the accountants, all right? Because they have nothing to say. And I try to get the conversation going, but I think that's really why I don't want to be an accountant. I didn't like accountants, but you must like accountants. Is that correct? You must really like accountants.
I really appreciate them. I believe that accountants are like unsung heroes. And they make such a difference for their clients, but often it's undervalued and the clients don't even know how much they're doing for them. So I really believe that they are unsung heroes. When COVID happened and everybody's business was all of a sudden turned around, closed down, whatever,
That's a good point.
accounting professionals were first responders. They devoted countless hours to figuring out PPP, EIDL loans, and many times didn't even charge the clients for the assistance that they gave them to help them keep their business going and operational. So they were first responders, unsung heroes. They have a lot of heart. They really care about their clients. And that to me matters a lot.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And now, you must go around and do a lot of keynote speaking. Am I correct?
I do speaking, but being an introvert, I actually prefer the video speaking than getting on an airplane and going into a conference of 1,000 people.
Really?
Yeah. However, I do speak at conferences too.
And where does your business come from? You've been in this business a long time, right?
Mhm. I've been doing this since 2009.
Okay. And so it's all basically word of mouth at this point?
Actually, it's primarily speaking, getting out there,
Oh.
being able to freely share, people getting a sense of what I have and that I'm speaking to someone that's been on top of their mind. They know what they want, they just don't know how to do it. That is what draws people in to want to have a further conversation with me.
Because a lot of those meetings, I went to a marketing meeting, how to market your services once. And they, the gentleman who was speaking said, most people who come to these seminars, all right, they don't implement what I tell them. Okay. All right. Now, you said speaking, you get clients. All right. Would you say as a result of your speaking engagement, you pick up, how many of those people really come to you afterwards? All right. And avail themselves of your services?
So you want to know my close rate?
No, well, that's roughly,
you know what? It's not about how many, it's about the right people. I am speaking to a very certain person.
What's your close rate? No, I'm just kidding.
I am speaking to a very certain person. I attract a very certain person to me. And it's not about the numbers. It's about the quality of the individual. And they know what their problem is, and they're ready to do something about it and invest in making this happen, because every single month that they continue to think about this and not doing anything, they continue to have increased stress, tolerate non-ideal clients, and they have lost revenue.
You must be writing books also. Do you write books?
I have 2 books that I have written.
And what were they about? The same topics?
They are sister books, actually. One is called The Winning Point, which was coming from a sports psychology perspective. And then when I moved in the direction of focusing primarily on or solely on business coaching, I wrote a second book called The Success Solution, which focuses on something similar, but it's really about understanding your value as well as the mindset to be able to have a successful business.
When did you write? How long ago did you write these books?
I wrote the first one around 2011. Don't hold me to that date. And then the Success Solution, I probably wrote about 5 years ago.
And you can still buy these if you
want? They're on Amazon.
They're on Amazon. You must have made a real killing from these, huh?
Most people don't make a killing from books. It is more for credibility,
right.
That I know what I'm talking about and that I can do what I promise to deliver.
No, I think I would say, if I thought of a word now that describes you, all right, that just came to my mind, I would say you're a dynamic person. No, I mean that you're very personable. You talk with authority, and I would believe anything you said, really. And that's not true with too many people I meet.
Phil, you are a tough cookie, and so hearing that from you, I take it as the highest compliment.
How do you know I'm a tough cookie?
Because first of all, I have a degree in psychology. I can pick up on things that most people would miss. Let's just start there. And we've been talking for a while. I get a sense as to who you are and how you show up. You are a very lovable guy once you get to know someone and trust them, but you are a tough cookie. You do not trust everybody. So thank you for that compliment.
Well, I used to trust everyone. In fact, I was told, I guess like a good percentage of people in this country, I went to a therapist, and she used to say, Phil, this is the way you deal with people. You give them the benefit of the doubt until they prove you wrong. All right. Mm-hmm. So I probably was, you get older, you get more cynical, but I think I was, I think I'm not as trustworthy now. And I do like people, and I just don't call everyone a friend. I love these people, he's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend.
Right.
No, that's a very loose way of saying things. But that was actually, you want to analyze me? Well,
I'll send you my invoice later.
No problem. What are you judging now? And what's your close rate? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm going to answer that because you've asked it twice now.
No, I don't want to. I was just kidding.
No. But let me put out there something that people get proud about, and it's an illusion. When I ask my clients, when we're having that initial free consultation, how many potential clients they speak with, before they enroll a new client. People that tell me that their close rate is 100% are very proud of that. I will let you know that if you have 100% close rate, then that tells me right off the bat that your prices are too low.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that. All right. So obviously, I'm not going to ask you that. I mean, I was just kidding, actually, but no, but that's a good statement. I like that. All right. Do you ever tell people that you meet potential clients that no matter what you're going to do with them, all right, you can't help them. They just, they fight you. All right.
You know what? I would never accept someone like that as a client. That's why I do an initial free consult. If I'm going to work with someone, I want to make sure that it's a good fit, because what I have learned from being a therapist is that all my clients make me smile. Some when they come in the door, some when they go out the door. I want to make sure that all my clients are ones that make me smile when they come in the door.
Yeah. You have to like your clients, right?
Yes, absolutely. Otherwise, you don't have a dream firm.
And so what do you see, what do you, after you, I don't know if you're going to get out of this business at some point. Do you see yourself doing anything else in a similar business or,
Phil, I do this work because I want to, not because I have to. I've already gotten to a point where I feel very blessed to have financial freedom, and I'm doing this because it gives me joy. I will continue to do this work as long as it brings me joy. And when it gets to the point that it doesn't, then I have options to consider.
Okay, that's good. You know what options you have. That's great.
Yeah, I can.
You're not supposed to ask women their age. I would guess you're about 35. Am I pretty close?
Maybe I should be calling you my friend because I like that statement. Thank you very much.
Very
No,
well.
my kids are closer to that age than I am.
Oh, you have 35-year-old child. I cannot believe that.
Not quite that
Yeah.
old yet, but my kids are in their 30s. So
What do they do? What do
I
you
have-
children? What do they do? What are they doing?
what my kids do, well, my son is in sales and he's absolutely loving it, even though he never expected to go into that particular profession. And then my daughter is actually home with the children. They live in Israel.
That's right. You mentioned
So
that.
her husband's a CPA and she's at home with the children.
Okay. So you have 2 children, really?
Yes, I have 2 children.
Well, that's very nice. And, I guess the one in Israel you don't see as often, but now we have all these things.
Actually, I probably see them more than my son that lives up in Oregon, because when I go out there, I'm out there for a little bit of time. Fortunately, I have a virtual business. I can do my business from anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Would you, if you don't want to answer this, I will totally understand. All right. How do you determine what you charge for your services?
Can you say that again? How do I what?
How do you determine what you charge for your services? Can you disclose that to me?
How I do what I teach. So I have packages, and when I'm meeting with someone, I'm having during my initial consult, I'm going through what I call a value conversation, which is understanding what is important to them and what they want to achieve and where things currently are. Then if it feels like a fit, we'll talk about the next steps, which would be engaging in one of my packages, and there's options. And if it works for them, great, they enroll in that. If not, that's okay. I also do courses, which are group coaching courses, and they're 5 weeks long. And that's for people that don't want to make a larger investment yet, and they want to get a sense as to what it's like working with me, or maybe they're not ready for a larger package yet. So those are the 2 different ways that I work with people. Is I have 2 group coaching courses that I do throughout the year. One is called the Raise Your Rates Formula, which has to do with a lot of what we talked about, pricing and separating your fees from time. The other one is the Profitable Cleanup Formula, which has to do with turning cleanup projects into your personal ATM machine.
You sound like you have so much to do. How do you do everything? It sounds like you got a lot of things going on. All right. You don't get burned out, do you? Or Or you
No,
ever?
no, I'm doing, you know what? I'm doing the things that are within my sweet spot. One of the things that happens that does lead to burnout is people are doing work that they're not very good at or effective at because it needs to be done in their business. I've created a very lean business that supports my lifestyle, where I can do the things I really enjoy, which is speaking like we're doing right now, Phil, educating, as well as working with my clients to be able to help them turn their business model around to one that supports and raises their quality of life. The things that I don't enjoy doing, I either hire someone to do for me, or else I just don't offer them. Like the marketing, I don't do marketing. It's not my sweet spot. I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't want to be anybody's marketing coach.
Would you say you're self-assured?
I feel very confident with what I have to offer and who I am. That has never been an issue for me.
And that's that's reason that people like yourself can just, fees don't bother you. Where how many CPAs how many accountants are self-assured that they can say, oh, my services are worth this. All right. I'm not sure they're really all too many self-assured accountants.
Then I chose a really good problem to solve for them, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because I think one of the things about going into a business like you had is that you found the problem. How many, I mean,
Okay, I want to answer, wait, I want to answer that. It's similar to Starbucks. Let's talk about value from this perception with Starbucks. Before 1971, when Starbucks first came out in Seattle, Washington, if you wanted to have a business meeting with someone and you didn't have an office, you either had a lunch meeting or you had to rent office space. That was primarily the two different options. And either one of those over time became very, very expensive if you did that on a regular basis.
Right.
Then Starbucks came on the scene. And what happens is Starbucks offers people an affordable meeting space. They don't care how long you own a table for, unlike a restaurant.
Right.
You can be there all day and they are thrilled to have you there. And because of that, it really was that Starbucks solved a meeting problem and they just happened to sell coffee. But it's also why they were able to charge $4 for a cup of coffee, where down the street, you could get it at a coffee shop for $1 back in 1971, because they recognized that their problem that they were solving for their clients was a meeting space that was affordable, an alternative to restaurants or renting out a meeting space. And the coffee was just part of how they were able to bring in revenue and income for that. So that's what accounting professionals need to think about, is not what you do for them, whether it's monthly accounting services, whether it's filing their taxes, whether it's helping them get out of IRS jail or anything about
IRS jail. Is that a special jail?
Yeah, that's for people that need tax resolution.
That was very good.
What people come to you for is really different than the work that you're doing for them. And people will see your value when you realize that what you're doing for them isn't the actual work and the task list or the workflow. It's that you're solving a particular problem for them. Similar to Starbucks solving a meeting space problem, and they just happen to make money selling overpriced coffee.
And they offer Wi-Fi for free.
Well, back in 1971, Wi-Fi was not an option.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that. And you know
Yes.
what? My wife goes up to the people in the front and say, we can't get a table in here. These people come in, they buy 1 cup of coffee, and they use the Wi-Fi for hours. And, we didn't understand. How do they make money with that? All right. And, I guess it's part of this plan, which is, it acts as an office. Students go there. A lot of students go there to study.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's really these models look great once they're in, once they're working. You say, why didn't I think of that? And I guess if I thought about that, I would be one of the owners of Starbucks originally. I think they brought back the original owner, didn't they?
That I don't know. However, I do know that Starbucks is corporate run, all of their stores, they are not franchised.
Oh, very interesting. And they have better control. Well, they can make sure that they keep their ways of doing things. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, I feel like I've known you for longer than 45 minutes. All right. You know, and I sometimes wonder, and please, who's ever listening to this and watching it, I have nothing against non-New Yorkers, but I find I always enjoy seeing another New Yorker, and very comfortable with them. I don't, it's just, I don't know.
Does that mean, Phil, that we might have another conversation down the road?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Give me your address. I'll bring the family over. I have 10 children. And no, I would love to. I'm curious, do you give talks in the Washington area? You ever get to the DC area?
Not too much. My family is still in Florida, so I mainly travel to Florida or to see family up in New York when I go to the East Coast, but I speak at conferences, so I will go to wherever the conferences are. Oh, and to let you know, I only go to accounting bookkeeper conferences. I don't go to conferences in other formats. So for other professions, I only go to accounting and bookkeeper conferences.
How many of these talks do you give a year, would you say?
Well, actually, since COVID, I haven't done any, and that's been a very specific decision not to, because I didn't want to do traveling, put myself around a lot of people. And I've been continuing to do virtual conferences. So I've done a lot of virtual conferences over the last couple of years. I haven't done any in person, and probably next year I'll start back and do in person, but I would say maybe about a half dozen or so a year.
That's, it gives you a variety of what you do. And that's, yeah. And you are always looking for new clients, are you not?
Absolutely. I'm always looking for the right new clients, not all people who want to be my client.
Well, why don't you tell me, who are you looking for? Because there may be someone out there who can use exactly what you have. So would you mind doing it?
Yeah,
Do a promo for me.
My client is an accounting professional, whether they are a CPA, tax preparer, bookkeeper, who has hit that upper limit challenge where they are working too many hours and they can't increase their revenues as a result of that. They find they're a people pleaser, so they've been thinking about raising their rates for a long time, but they haven't done that, especially with their legacy clients. They've held on to non-ideal clients for too long because they have a high tolerance limit. And there were some clients they would love to fire. And even if they raise their rates, those clients keep on working with them. So my clients tend to be accounting professionals with firms under 8 people or under that would like to be able to earn more money. They've been thinking about raising the rates. They don't know how, getting rid of some headache clients. They don't know how, and I'm able to help them do that so that they have a dream firm, and as opposed to one that lowers their quality of life.
And how can someone get a hold of you if they're interested in what you have to do, or they want to know about your book? How do you get a hold of them?
If they wanted to have a further conversation with me, they can go to my website at businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. And that is the first steps on how to be able to have a conversation together of what it would look like to be able to take charge of your business instead of having your business take charge of you.
Repeat that again. How to get a hold of you? That was
it's at businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk is a way to reach out to me for us to have a conversation of how to be able to increase your rates and be able to separate your fees from time.
Sounds good. Well, Loren, it was a pleasure meeting you. And I want you to know, and I'm not name dropping here, but I have a friend who grew up in Brooklyn, all right? And you might know him. His name is Bruce Morrow. Do you know Cousin Brucey?
Absolutely not.
Well, you haven't been in New York a long time.
No. I moved from New York to Miami Beach, Florida when I was 7. So I don't know Cousin Brucey.
Cousin Brucey is a radio personality who was in the New York area. He went to Sirius XM radio, but He used to be on WABC radio in New York, which is
Mhm.
and 7 years ago, I got to meet him. And, I think, I warm up very close, to New Yorkers. And I got to know him. We stayed in touch, and he's still on the radio, and he's actually in his 80s now. And I said to him, "Are you retiring?" And he said, he will never retire. All right. His retirement is he only works 2 days a week, but yeah, no. Well, you're the first person. Forget Cousin Brucey, and I won't tell him you don't know him. Okay. I don't want to make him feel bad.
You know what? If he's from New York, he probably has a thicker skin. He can take it.
Yeah, he's got a thicker skin, and he's very tall too. So that makes it, yeah. But anyway, Loren, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate the engaging conversation. I also just want to say, I appreciate your listeners for taking time away from working in their business and joining us today. And I am hoping that they got one nugget that they can implement so that it really raises the bar of what they do and their quality of service.
Now, this is not live. This is going
to be. I'm good.
Okay. And I can tell you the number one city we really have, I don't know why, Atlanta is our number one city. Then we have Boston, New York, and occasionally the city my daughter lives in, Frederick, Maryland. All right.
She must be doing your social media.
Oh yeah, she's on my end. No, actually, she owns a Goddard school. You ever heard of Goddard schools? The
No.
schools? No, you don't know.
Montessori, that's about it.
It's a similar. She's doing all right. Anyway, you take care, and I hope I will see you again sometime.
I am looking forward to a follow-up conversation with you.
All right, and I'll think of things, and I won't bring up the one subject over and over again of how do you close. But no, that's not. You know what? You have a good sense of humor. You really are, and you have a great smile too. You have a good smile. All right. How many years are you married, by the way?
We've been married 32 years and still love each other.
Oh, that's great. That is great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I feel very blessed.
You are. All right. Well, take care. And once again, I want to thank everyone out there for watching, listening to the podcast. All right. And keeping us up in the top 10%. That's, that's as close to ratings as you get on podcasts, but we know there's a lot of people who have actually started listening to this, and they listen every week. So, they even like me, which I don't understand, but, please continue to watch, and we'll have more people like Loren. Loren, you're the best we've had so far. I mean, really great. But, we'll have really entertaining people like Loren. And, I like people like Loren because I have to enjoy talking to people. And I enjoy talking with you. Okay? Stay well. I don't know if I told you, I just got over COVID about 3 weeks ago.
No.
Yeah. I'm a COVID survivor. So, it wasn't that bad, actually. But
I'm glad you're on the mend and that you don't have too much brain fog. You still seem pretty sharp to me, Phil.
Brain fog? Is that a side effect, a medical side effect? Really?
It is, actually. I'm sure that I can find it somewhere.
I got the cough, and I was tired. I'm still a little tired. Okay. Anyway, enjoy Southern California and have a good summer. Okay.
Take care. Bye.
Hi, this is Phil Yaeger. We'll see you again. Remember, every week we have a new podcast. All right. And please continue to watch and listen. Take care. And we'll see you soon. And be good to each other, because I'll tell you, I don't find too many people who are still nice out there. So you can be nice. All right. Take care.